come on.
Let's talk about sex, baby.
Okay, there's that song, ladies. It is indeed time to talk about sex, little sex, this morning on Great Day.
And that means if you have little ones in the room, you know what to do. They need to leave.
3, 2, and
there they are.
They're out of the room.
Okay, so today we are focusing on how technology can help rev up your sex life. And we're welcoming back therapist Lindsay Walden to Great Day St. Louis. Good morning.
Morning. Thanks for having me back.
Well, this is really interesting. And you would think that a lot of people would already be doing this, but apparently they're not.
You know, yes and no. I think it's how many smartphones are out there now.
Sure.
I mean, connecting with the people that we're interested in or have a relationship with is so much easier than it's ever been. You don't have to wait to be at home or have like your home phone. Just like quick little text message or maybe an email through a smartphone. It can be a really easy thing.
I think when we're talking about people who are married, it doesn't come as easily as maybe people who are just dating.
And do you think that if you're not romantic anyway, are you going to think to send a sexy text message? Are you going to think to do that? But you should.
Yeah, I don't know that you would think to necessarily, but it could also be one of those things. It can kind of rev you up and kind of. It doesn't have to be a huge, like, long thought out thing. You could just be like, hey, I'm thinking about you, or looking forward to our date on Saturday night, and it can kind of almost be a form of like foreplay or like revving up.
A little bit of flirting.
Yeah, flirty, like sexting, texting. You kind of hear those words
now,
thrown around.
I have to say, though, ladies, that I'm a little nervous about, even though people are married, sending pictures of yourself.
You always have to be careful with that. I mean, there's always that old saying, it's like, don't put anything in writing or don't send, like, be careful what you put out there. So probably not the best idea to send, like, some real revealing picture from like a work computer or something like that.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, you want to be really careful. And who else has access to it? Is it some kind of a community of some kind that like more people are going to have access to your phone or your email or something like that?
Like your children.
That would be a great example.
That's a good point.
I probably don't want them finding it. But there's ways. I mean, the sexting doesn't have to be a picture or some kind of like nakedness. It could also
my
just
mind
be
went right to the gutter. I'm sorry. I thought you just take it all off and snap and let go.
It could also be like maybe some sexy talk or maybe a little flirtatious, maybe looking forward to like something I like, something I want to do.
Have you ever Skyped, Virginia? I haven't Skyped.
No, I haven't.
There's been no need.
I haven't Skyped, but before we go on to that one, I think it's nice just to even know that you're being thought of during the day.
Exactly.
I don't even think it has to be, necessarily
Can
sexual.
I tell you that last night we were sitting at the island and my husband sent me a text. And he's like that far from me, which is shocking that Patrick Daniel would, do that.
Well, you make a good point because, so let's say that, I mean, we're really busy people and maybe we've got, kids and bills and all of these things to take care of. And if you just take, 10, 20 seconds to just type a, hey, I love you, or hey, I'm thinking about you, or hey, last night was great, really enjoyed it, whatever it's in reference to, it doesn't have to be.
It's going to surprise you. It's going to be a pleasant surprise instead of, are you picking up the kid after work today?
Right,
yes,
or can
absolutely.
you pay this bill or whatever.
Now, we mentioned Skyping, and we were at Scott Air Force Base. We were talking to some of the military wives whose husbands are on tour, and that is how they stay connected.
Right.
But we don't have to be at some great distance to utilize Skype.
Sure, I mean, you definitely see Skype being used a lot for like connecting with family and people that are overseas and that kind of thing, especially in like long distance relationships. One of the things that a lot of people have the struggle with is the whole out of sight, out of mind. And it's like, well, if you have somebody right there in front of you on your computer screen, it's like it's a little closer. It's not as much distance. It doesn't feel as far away. Now, you can maybe get a little sexual through the Skyping also, but again, being careful and mindful of like who's going to be walking in, who's got access, where they are, what privacy you have.
And I suppose that if people are uncomfortable with any of that, instant messaging, certainly email.
Oh, sure.
It's just such an easy way.
And email, I have a tendency with my clients sometimes to have them journal or like write their thoughts down, especially if they're having trouble connecting. We have a tendency, if we write, to have the truth of what we really feel, what we're really thinking, to kind of come out. Sometimes an email can be a good way to do that. You don't have to send on your very first draft. You can do some revisions. You can kind of go through and make sure that the point you want to make is being made.
And that's really romantic too, especially if you're dating a very shy person who might reveal more in an email, and then you save it, and so then you go back to that once you marry that person, and maybe they don't say that stuff as much, but then you can remember those emails, and it kind of brings back memories.
She's talking out loud.
I will say though, my husband's a writer, so it's always nice. He sends a nice email, and it's like, oh, oh, I save them, you know. So it can mean a lot. And you don't have to be a great writer to do it. But
No.
yeah, it can mean a lot.
Today, and we have a lot of moms who are at home right now, you are domestic engineers, you can do it.
That's right.
Send him a message at work. He's in the
Doesn't
middle of a
cost a
meeting.
thing.
Send him a message and say, oh, I love your, I love, yes.
Body.
Smile.
Keep it clean for TV.
If you'd like to contact Lindsay, you can find her at Creve Coeur Counseling Associates. We've also linked our website to ours, greatdaystlouis.com. Thank you so much.
Thanks. This was fun.
Matt?
All right, ladies, thank you very much. And because Virginia needs a place to store all those emails that her husband used to send to her, while we're talking tech,